Things are changing fast. Welcome back to month number 15 of me doing a monthly retro, building a web design studio to 100K right before your eyes. This month, we officially hit our year-long goal. We actually hit it last month, but I kind of alluded to it. So definitely make sure you check out the last monthly retro in order to get the full goal effect. But yeah, this is going to be the monthly retro. For those of you, if it's just your first time watching, I basically go through everything in the business: profit, loss, finances, leads, all the stats that I'm tracking for my brand and my business, MMG Design. It's my independent web design studio based in Columbus, Ohio. I'm here this month looking like an absolute degenerate frat boy back in the new digs. So we'll talk about all these life updates and everything. But today we're going to be going through our cash flow analysis, profit loss. I'll head over to LinkedIn to do some of our wins and losses for the month, and we'll talk about all the juicy finances. So without further ado, let's dive on in. So we're going to start here with our cash flow analysis chart here in a Google Sheet. These numbers up here, if you guys don't know how this works, basically is, let me undo that. But these are our recurring income clients here at the top, and everything out here is project-based work. All of these are their client names, which I just had to re-record because I left them in. But on a high level, the income for this month, top line for revenue was $13,018. As far as expenses, I have a full itemized list here in Notion, which is what I usually start in, but I wanted to start with a cash flow analysis, so we'll kind of be going back and forth here. But this is our master database of all of our months that we've been tracking. So we've actually been tracking for 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 months. But we've been recording videos every month of this year, so 8 months straight. But top line for the business, $13,156. Business expenses, $1,352, and that was a little bit higher than usual. But there's a few nuances there that we'll talk about in terms of getting refunded for some stuff. But personal expenses, $6,000, and that was because our annual taxes were due this month. First year of self-employed taxes, just took a fat dagger and then stuck it right here and then just like twisted it around. That's what that felt like. But we got it all paid off at once. It's behind us now. And that's okay. One thing I forgot to check, 259 mailing list size, so we went up 15 over last month. LinkedIn followers, I actually did not check that, so let me check that really quick. We're at 5,070 last month. I should make a 5K announcement post. But let me check our LinkedIn profile to see how many followers we have over here. LinkedIn content has been going pretty well, so 5,239. That's above average growth, I think. That's about average. Month over month is about 200 new ones, which is about our average. So nothing exceptional, but so we have 15 mailing list subscribers, and we have about 200 new LinkedIn followers. One thing I haven't been doing is sending connection requests every day. That's something I need to be more diligent on. They're going by 200 followers a month, which actually isn't bad. I think about it now. That's how many per day? Like 20? That's way off. I can't do math. 200 divided by 30 is what, 6 or 7 followers a day. Not bad. Yeah, it's crazy to think that it's already September. But we had a relatively good month this month. Not our best by any means, but I'm not ashamed. We have a lot of room for improvement, and we have a couple really good projects in the works. So we're currently in development on 4 websites right now. I've made the mistake in the past of shouting out client names on here, so I'm not going to do that in the future. But we have, like I said, top line for the business. Some of these numbers are a bit changed because of the softwares. We use Moxie for time tracking. In case you guys have not followed along for the series, be sure to check out the links in the show notes or the description to check out all of our past episodes where we do the monthly retros. but our tool stack is we use Moxie for our CRM and time tracking. We use Monarch Money for kind of our top line financial aggregator. We use Mercury as my bank, and we use Notion to track this. And we use Google Sheets for everything else. So that's a simple financial stack if you're starting a lean and mean solo agency. Um, but yes, so that is everything from Notion. I keep screenshots in here just to be accountable for checking them. We have 500 in accounts receivable that was due for work completed this month. Business expenses 1,300. And that was due to a couple things. So we traveled to CEX, which is a conference in Cleveland, and I had to pay for my hotel room and travel out of pocket. But those are actually going to be recomped because we partnered with Level Up Creators to record some video content for them. So that'll be recomped in the works. That's about $600. That'll be paid back into that account. So really just about half of that. And the rest of it was contractor labor. I'm going to find out exactly how much contractor labor we did have because it was a lot this month. And we'll talk about why. But we had some personal expenses. All of this is included for tax. So it's about 1,000 in personal expenses outside of the annual tax payment. So this is about normal for me. Next up, we have our wins. We're going to transition to our wins and losses. But before we do that, I want to identify how much actual contractor labor we had in the business this month that we ended up paying out because it was more than usual. So we paid at 722 in contractor labor, which is more than usual. I can see it's good to see what accounts those are going to so that I can cash flow them. Because I know which retainer clients these account for, and I know as long as I'm teaching about a 60-40 margin between our top line, that is the accounts that are paying up here, then I know we're doing a good job. So I also realize that I'm not paying a lot for work to be done internally. Something I do want to have on the radar for this month up ahead is having some work done on our own marketing, on our own site. There's a lot where I could reinvest in the business. We have a really good cash flow position that's increasing month over month. So we're increasing at about a rate of a lot per month. Not a lot, but more than what's necessary. So we're currently at increasing month over month about 10,000 steadily. And we'll talk in our wins and losses about future casting and how some of these numbers are going to change for the better. But yeah, we're looking good from a cash flow position. I'm thinking about where I could reinvest into the business. I've gotten a lot of mentorship on where I think I should be reinvesting in the business because there is just a lot sitting in there currently not working for me. So there's a lot of opportunity there. I know I want to invest in leveling up my own skill set, investing in courses, community, access to high performing groups of people. That's a really good thing. So that's investing in me personally that can then have ripple effects onto the business. There's things like conferences that I attended this week. There are things just like software that would make my life easier. And there's also hiring. So there's more contractor labor that I could take off of my plate in terms of having an EA, in terms of managing some of that stuff. But yeah, that's one of the biggest pertinent things on my mind. 700 is more than I spent in a month in contractor labor for hourly work. I mean, think about it, that is a good amount of hourly work paid out. And the reason it was so high this month is because we had to do revisions on a site that we launched. And that was 100% on my accountability front. I launched the site prematurely. I didn't communicate as well as I could have with the client. And although the site looks great and I'm excited to share the case study, I was accountable for launching too early and not getting alignment. And I had to pay for it in terms of revisions. So that's not good. But like I said, we learn from these mistakes and we do a better job in the future. The important thing is that we maintain a relationship and that we're still on deck for moving forwards. So now on to the wins and losses for this month. I'll make this relatively quick. I do wins, losses, and some focus areas and lessons that I'm going to be pertinent on improving for the next month. This actually blew my mind. What I've been doing recently is I was not consistent with time tracking this month. you guys want to check out last month, it's a really cool insight in terms of having timesheets. So I allocated my time buckets based on every client that I was spending time on. And I realized how much time I was spending internally on the business making my own content. And it was almost double what I was spending on client work. So if that's a good and bad thing, it is feedback, but it's informing how I'm acting in the present. But the last month I wasn't accountable towards tracking as much, and that's going to be one of our goals. But something that did blow my mind, and I highly recommend all of you do, is if you have Google Workspace and you use Google Calendar consistently and you name all your events, what you can actually do is have Gemini give you insights on where you're spending your time. And this is really cool. So it told me that I recorded 12 podcasts this month. And this is good and bad. Podcasting is not the closest thing to revenue for me, not the way I do it. And this tells me that I need to be more diligent on either A, scheduling these after hours, or B, making them more revenue generating. How do I do that? So I could invest in making this. We invested in Podmatch this month. We've gotten 3 guests on there. I haven't been booked for any new shows. I haven't pitched myself for any shows, so that's probably why. But a big thing I want to do is make the podcast revenue generating. And through the AMA and some of the stuff that we're doing, I'm confident that will be the case in the future. But it is an upfront investment of a play right now. But these are the people that I had conversations with me. It all went really well. So I'm excited to keep in touch with these people, continue to add value, and continue to grow the show. But it's kind of alarming that how much time was actually spent on podcasting. And this is just the recording. This isn't even the editing, which I didn't time track. So it's probably double this hours wise. So very insightful. Probably the biggest thing win wise from this month is that we attended CEX, the Content Entrepreneur Expo. Make sure you guys are following along on LinkedIn to see everything. I posted about it sporadically. But yeah, this was a really cool thing. I got to meet a lot of people that I knew. It was just surreal, honestly. A lot of people from LinkedIn, a lot of people locally as well. But yeah, that was a rush. I left on a Sunday night. Slept in my car in the parking lot. Not something I was going to tell anybody, but slept in my car in the parking lot the night before. Got up at 5:30 the day of and just ripped some caffeine and met a ton of people. And it was a really cool day. And yeah, I'm excited to continue and follow up with these people. I've got a ton of great guests for the podcast. Probably the biggest win of this month, Jay Klaus, who's someone I've been looking up to for just such a long time, actually agreed to be on the podcast. And he's been a dream guest of mine. So I actually have to reach out to Brian on Draco and confirm with him because he was the one that hyped me up enough to reach out. But yeah, that was a big win for this month. A couple more updates. We had an AMA event this month. I've grown closer with Paula and Allison, who are 2 of my AMA connections. We're starting to become really good friends, which is important to me. We signed our new biggest retainer client, and our MRR agreement starts next month. So the finances are going to be looking a little bit different next month. Different allocation in terms of where our income is coming from, but it should be headed uphill and for the better. A couple more updates. We started the AMA Columbus new website. I started wireframing that today, actually. Today is Sunday, so I had a little bit of extra time to go in and do non-client facing work. But yeah, I was really excited to get to going on that. And this is going to be the best AMA website in the country. And I am fully convinced of that. And I can't wait to bring it to life. One of the last updates is that we just moved back into I moved into my house that I've been living in growing up. So I'm going to be very diligent for the next couple months on looking for houses in Columbus and really doubling down on this. I have a huge vision for my future with the AMA in Columbus, growing my company, growing my business, and living there is a big part of that. I need to retain my network, be very diligent on following up with people, building relationships, and really niching down in this area. And with the podcast and everything that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis where I get my happiness, sharing, recording content, this is huge for me. And I need to be very consistent and diligent on that vision and just repeatedly remind myself, repeatedly put it out there, repeatedly make content about it, and it will come through. It will come to fruition. But I got to be diligent on it. I got to be looking for houses. I got to be doing outreach. I have to be consistent with this stuff because I have fallen off on it before, and I need to be accountable to it. So those are the wins for this month. Things I'm excited for next month. Some of the losses. I've gotten into some bad habits, and I am huge on I'm a huge on attaching new or different habits to your environment. So what I mean with that is when I moved into Springfield, which was the house I was living at currently, or that I just moved from, I was so good on starting a lot of good new habits and attaching that to that location. Meaning I got up early, I had a decent sleep schedule, I was exercising a ton, I was in a really good place with the business, I worked a ton. I had very few distractions. All I would do was work and eat and exercise. And that's good and bad. It's good and bad. Because I would come home on weekends and I would just be so desperate for any type of interaction, any type of break in the noise that I would go off the rails. I would stay up all night. I would be totally unproductive. I would eat all the food and I would just over index so hard. I'm hoping I'm in a different environment to where the stuff is accessible, the temptations are accessible. I need to prove to myself that I have the willpower and I have the forethought and the prioritization that I'm true to my goals and that those things can become things that I can engage in optionally and not over indexed on them. I've been saying this, and even just the first few days I've been here, I found it harder to focus. I've engaged in some of these short term pleasures that I'm not proud of. So, a lot of things that I have to be consistent on moving forwards. I had a general lack of enthusiasm, and this month ahead, I just have so much on my plate. I kind of alluded to those new retainer clients. It's going to be a big scope of work, and I have to be diligent on being consistent with the inputs and showing up for the people that I've agreed to provide services to. So that's some of the stuff that's on my mind for the coming up month. Focus areas and lessons. Again, eating habits. So I realized that a lot of my bad eating habits come from just taking second trips. If I can just rewire my brain to the habit of, okay, this is my meal, I'm sitting down and eating it, and not just keep, grazing, I think that's going to solve a lot of problems. But I just have to be consistent on that mindset around it. It's like, okay, this is it, this is all I get. And I think once I solve that problem, it'll be a lot easier to stay consistent. It's just the keystone habit of not going repeat. Messaging and deliberate outreach during cardio. So I listened to a podcast this month with Jay Klaus and Jordan Harbinger. Highly recommend Jordan Harbinger's podcast. I think it's called The Jordan Harbinger Show. But that episode is just so good. And it's about maintaining relationships, keeping in touch with your past network. And I want to use my cardio time. We have a treadmill here in the house, which I'm super blessed for. I can literally just roll out of bed, and that can be the first half hour to an hour of every day is just sending messages and doing cardio. And it's mentally, it checks that box of being doubly productive for me because that's like what everything has to be for me, unfortunately. But that's what I want to do every morning is first thing, roll out of bed, cardio, outreach. Next, as I alluded to this earlier, being more consistent on Moxie and time tracking. That habit fell off, and the housing search. So doing one thing every day, keep this up and going. I'm going to build a Notion database to help me out with this because I find that when I commit to something and I build a Notion database about it, it kind of makes it real. When this can be an action, whether it's reaching out to a realtor, asking for help, scanning on Zillow, getting in touch with a mortgage lender, asking for referrals, etc. I have a couple calls coming up this week with not financial planners, but wealth managers who can give me some advice and talk me through my goals. So that is August of 2025. That is the monthly retro of me building a 100K plus annual web design studio, just me, and doing it right in front of your very eyes. I appreciate you guys tuning in this month. Let me know if you guys are enjoying the content. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you next month for September, baby. Fall.